Hi, and welcome to an introductory training presentation for the Mental Health Recovery Star. This is mainly aimed at professionals, clinicians and key workers. This was created by Ross Mason and is available at ross-mason.co.uk. So the aims of the presentation: to define the Recovery Star and briefly detail its development and national uptake in the UK, to explain the two core elements that make up the star, namely the 10 dimensions of recovery and the 5-stage ladder of change, to explore the practical completion of the star, to discuss the potential of the star, timings for its use and follow-ups, to explore future possibilities such as the Outcome Star online system. So what exactly is the Recovery Star? The Recovery Star is a practical, key working tool for the ongoing assessment of a service user's mental health recovery. It's designed as an outcomes tool, so it provides quantifiable information for the service user, key worker, managers and service providers to both visually and numerically track change in a service user's recovery over a period of time. A little bit of background into the STAR, the tool, where it's come from. The Recovery Star was commissioned in 2007 by the Mental Health Providers Forum, which is a non-governmental organisation. 114 service users were used in the original pilot, with workers, managers and service users all involved in the Star's development. As of 2011, 159 projects are using the Recovery Star. Approximately 2,000 service users have actively engaged and over 4,000 stars have been completed. The Recovery Star fits very well with one of the 6 aims of the Department of Health's No Health Without Mental Health strategy paper, setting objectives for improving mental health recovery in the UK. So what are the main elements of the tool? 2 core elements are, as we've spoken before, the 10 dimensions of recovery and the ladder of change. So we'll go over each of those in detail. The 10 dimensions of recovery. The Recovery Star and the dimensions within it are heavily influenced by the recovery movement within mental health care. A good definition of this recovery movement, or recovery in this sense, is being able to live a meaningful and satisfying life in the presence or absence of symptoms. So it's not the same as clinical recovery. The 10 core dimensions of recovery are supported by research from an academic review of service user literature and the Recovery Star's pilot studies. So this is having a look at the 10 dimensions. You've got managing mental health, physical health and self-care, living skills, social networks, work, relationships, addictive behaviour, responsibilities, identity and self-esteem, and trust and hope. So every service user's, every patient's recovery journey is unique, and it will have differing needs within the 10 dimensions. For example, someone may have excellent physical and self-care skills, but may have difficulty in forming or maintaining social networks and relationships, for instance. So as service users' situations change, their needs obviously change at any particular time. So how can we measure this? This is where the ladder of change comes in. The ladder of change details 5 descriptive steps, each with 2 parts. The stage outlines a service user's journey, moving from stuck to accepting help, then on to believing things can change, to learning new skills and abilities and approaches, and finally to self-reliance. The recovery process is complex, unique, and non-linear. Individuals can move up and down the ladder, and some people may stay in one place for a long time. So in order to find the right area to mark on the ladder of change, key workers and service users should consult the user guide provided by the Mental Health Providers Forum, and at the end I've placed a reference for that. For each of the 10 dimensions there's a corresponding ladder of change, with a further 10 descriptions for each stage on the ladder. This is an example of the addictive behaviour ladder. So someone on the addictive behaviour area that would be stuck, scoring at 1 or 2, would say something like this: I don't have a problem with addictive behaviours, but others think I do. If they were accepting help, they'd be saying, I'm going along with what people say but don't always do what they suggest. Moving further up the ladder to believing in themselves, believing they can do it. I'm doing some things to myself to address my addictive behaviour. Learning, scoring 7 or 8. I'm getting control, I have choices about what I do, and I mostly choose well. And then to the ultimate self-reliance, I'm enjoying a lifestyle without addictive behaviour. So how do we put all this together? So when you've worked collaboratively with your service user to examine all of those 10 dimensions of their mental health recovery, you can chart everything on the main star. And this is what it would look like. This is an example from the user guide with the plotted scores from an example patient as you've been through with them the 10 dimensions, questioned them and worked out where they feel they are on that ladder of change. So that's an example of the first meeting. At subsequent review meetings with your service user, you can add the new information to your existing star and compare the two charts to see the changes over time. So you can see visually, and the service user gets an excellent representation of where they were at the beginning. Say the green pattern there was at the start 6 months previously, and then after a period of treatment, after a period of time, they can see where they've developed. They can see areas which have improved drastically, such as the addictive behaviour, scoring going up from a 4 to a 9, getting close to self-reliance over that period of time. Other areas where you can see that need work on and perhaps have gone down, so their social networks have gone down slightly, and it shows a strong image of where there's been success and where there's need for improvement and support. So this is a practical completion of the star, a little step-by-step guide. First of all, you want to introduce the star and the visual material, including user guide, to the service user, patient. Ask the service user which dimension of health they would like to discuss first, for example, social networks. Spend some time with the service user, becoming familiar with the ladder of change and discussing where on that ladder they feel they are at the moment. Note down the user's score in the notes section, along with the reasons for choosing that score. Repeat the process for the 9 other areas, and then plot all the scores onto the star chart you just saw, and join the dots so that the service user can see the big picture. Agree which areas to work on with the service user and what you're aiming to do between now and the next review meeting. Disagreements. If the key worker and service user are in disagreement over a score on the star, which can happen, there is a notes section within the paperwork of the star tool itself, which is an excellent area to write down the reasons why. If a disagreement happens, it's good practice to score the service user's interpretation of the score, so the mark that they give themselves on the visual representation of the chart, because this promotes the recovery ownership and empowerment of the service user. The key workers, professional score and reasons why they've chosen that can then be detailed in the notes section. Star potential. If completed as intended as a reflective, collaborative process, the first star should take around 60 to 90 minutes to complete, and subsequent stars around 20 to 30 minutes as the key worker and service user become more familiar with the format. Ideally, the star should be completed with service users who are able to engage and collaborate with the project. Therefore, the star is not suitable for every service user. Star timing. This is a nice little quote I found. There's probably nothing more important in supporting an individual in their journey to recovery. For suitable clients, it's suggested that the recovery star should be introduced briefly during a review meeting. Then a user guide, which is the documentation we've talked about, left with a service user to read and digest. And then you can begin the star process at the next review, then your next meeting with that service user after they've had time to look over the paperwork. Follow-up stars can be completed as often as the key worker and service user agree, but a good limit is around 6-month intervals. Looking into the future, at the present time, all of these stars can be completed on paper, and the user guide provides that, and the Mental Health Providers Forum have got printouts which you can use and notes to hold all of that information, which you can then place into the service user's file. There is also an online system which can record stars, star notes, all the scores for the service users, and printed graphs which could be adopted for your service. Some more details of that in the reference section at the end. So in summary, the Recovery Star is a collaborative tool for measuring a service user's recovery journey. The star produces easy to understand charts which show a strong visual image of change over time. The star provides quantifiable information that can be used by users, key workers and managers to assess, plan and make recommendations for interventions. If you've got any questions or queries regarding completion of the star or would like any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me by email, and email address is there and website as at the front of the presentation. And these are some references and further reading if you want to investigate further into the star. Thank you for listening.